Lawyers representing the family of Stephon Clark today released the results of an autopsy. Attorney Benjamin Crump says that the medical findings will show that the initial statements given by the Sacramento Police Department are wrong.
The narrative that had been put forth was that they had to open fire because he was charging at them. Well, obviously, based on Dr. Malu's findings and the family's autopsy, it suggests all the bullets were from behind.
The autopsy, conducted by a doctor hired by the family, found that Stephon Clark was hit by 8 bullets, and 7 of those bullets struck Stephon Clark from the back. We're going to show you some of the police video of the shooting. This was taken from the helicopter above the shooting, and you will see in the middle of the shooting, after the bullets are fired, you will see Stephon Clark fall face forward to the ground, not moving, and you will see that the shooting continues after he has fallen and is not moving, face down on the ground. This is very disturbing video to see. Just wanted you to know that, and if this is not something you want to see, this is the time to turn away. This is that video.
He's at one further house, 1 yard to the south. 2 minutes trying to catch him. Hi, Cordina, go ahead. Shots fired.
Joining the discussion now, Marq Claxton, the director of the Black Law Enforcement Alliance and a retired NYPD detective. And back with us is Jason Johnson. Marq Claxton, what do you see when you look at that video, the sequence of the shots, and you look at this autopsy drawing that we saw today of the entry wounds?
I see a disturbing pattern of police-initiated violence against largely black and brown men. And subsequent inexcusable actions by police officials and government officials. I see also a denial about what really ails us in regards to police-involved shootings of black and brown men across the nation. I see a large sense of denial. I see abandonment of proper police tactics, training. There's so many issues and so many things that are disturbing about what has happened to Stephon Clark and what has happened historically in this country at the hands of what should be professional police officers to many black and brown men.
I want to stress again that Stephon Clark was unarmed. He did have a cell phone. Police are claiming that they mistook the cell phone for a gun. Let's listen to what Dr. Amalu, who performed this autopsy, had to say about these entry wounds.
He was shot in the back 6 times. The 7th gunshot wound was slightly to the side of his body, but to the back of the side of his body. So you could reasonably conclude that he received 7 gunshot wounds from his back.
And Jason Johnson, when you see Stephon Clark face down and these bullets continuing to fly, they fired at least 20 bullets at him, and as usual, they missed with most of their bullets. Most police bullets missed most of the time. There was no possibility of those bullets really entering the body anywhere other than the back.
Right, right. And here's the thing, Lawrence, you know, at the core issue here, we've seen this with Trayvon. We see this with Alton Sterling. We see this over and over again. An absolute denial of black humanity by the police. It is part of police training, apparently, to shoot first and ask questions later, regardless of the race of the officers who are involved. At the core issue here is a man who they were supposedly pursuing for breaking windows in cars. This is not someone that you needed to use lethal force. And so to continue to shoot somebody when they're already on the ground is not just overkill in a sort of rhetorical sense. It's overkill from the standpoint that the violence that they felt comfortable using in that neighborhood. Bear in mind, Bullets could have ricocheted, hit somebody in a house, could have hit somebody else around. They didn't care. And that's the core issue here, Lawrence, that these officers don't care because at the end of the day, they're probably not going to face any real legal consequences for this. And another innocent black man who was standing in his backyard with a cell phone is going to be besmirched and smeared by the police officers. We've already seen that on the Sacramento police sort of underground Facebook website that they've had. They've already started dragging his reputation in order to justify an unjustifiable killing.
Marq Claxton, as a matter of police tactics, what disturbs me the most about this is that there's a second round of firing. You can see here that there is a slight pause at the point where Stephon Clark falls and goes face down. And they make a second decision to fire their guns again, which is a different decision from the one they made the first time. The one they made the first time, he was standing up. When they made that second decision to fire another round of bullets at him, he's lying face down and not moving, and that is a completely different tactical decision by the police officers than the first decision they made.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Lawrence, if you go deeper than that, there are several decisions that are made even before the firearm is discharged or subsequent to the firearm discharge. Listen, a police officer has to really make a decision to pull his weapon. He has to make a decision to raise the firearm. He has to make a decision to put the finger on the trigger. He then has to make a decision as to whether or not to pull that trigger. So there are a series of decisions that need to be made, and professional police officers should be guided and are trained to be guided by what we call the use of force continuum. That means the amount of force that you as a professional police officer, trained professional police officer, should use in particular cases. You don't fire a weapon for a person that's trying to slap you. There's an imbalance in that, and the use of force continuum is totally disregarded in this and so many other cases. And I think something significant and substantive has happened during the course of this week that really has gone largely unreported. And that is even the comments, the acknowledgement by the Sacramento mayor, Mayor Steinberg, that implicit in policing, implicit in these cases of fatal shootings by police of unarmed black men, there is a bias. He said there is an implied bias in law enforcement, and it's undeniable, and I agree with that.
Marq Claxton gets tonight's last word. Thank you very much for joining us. Marq Claxton, Jason Johnson, really appreciate it.
Thank you.